My name is Ruth Simonyi-Gindele, and I have had the symptoms of multiple sclerosis. Looking back on my life now, I would say for over 30 years. I've been married 35 years, but it was not diagnosed until approximately 10 years ago. That's when I had an MRI, and they discovered that there was this positive signs on the MRI. Oh, they immediately suggested that I should go on the interferons, which I did. Went on the injections, and the first lot that I was on, I got some quite bad side effects from. Actually, it was led more into depression than anything, although I wasn't suicidal, but I just felt constantly down and constant headaches, and I just didn't feel good. Before the operation, at least when I was diagnosed, my complaints were I had severe eye problems, and that was from blurred vision, and towards as the evening went on, I would get double vision, and it was very difficult. Like I couldn't, if I wanted to go on the computer, I had to read with one eye. And then I had severe laryngeal spasms, which was sort of a form of choking too. Swallowing difficulties, which kind of really did bother me, and then latterly I had a very severe balance problem where I just didn't know which end was up, but that would be more spasmodic, and I had quite the occasional fall where my legs would just give way and I would go down. I had a particular weakness in my right leg, and it felt heavy, and pins and needles in my legs, and pains up my shins, a lot of muscular pain, which was distressing at night. I actually had to take something so I could sleep because of the pains in my legs. And then they kind of felt heavy. And then latterly, I just was getting this incredible fatigue. It's a totally different tiredness that's associated with working out or doing a lot of extra work. It just was an overwhelming fatigue where it was even an effort to hold your head up, or couldn't be bothered eating because you're just such a fatigue. And I ended up that I would be able to function normally. That was just towards the end of last year, the last few months, I suppose, when I deteriorated fairly rapidly, and I ended up having to mostly rest in bed. I'd be up a couple of hours in the morning and do something, and then I would just get worse and worse. And for the medication I took in the evenings, yes, that was just so I could sleep and get relief from the pain of my legs, and so that they would keep still. Oh, my husband was marvelous. He just felt that no matter what it cost or whatever he could do, he was going to get help for me, because we discussed the fact that I was just literally deteriorating. And, sometimes I even suggested to him maybe I'd be better off if I just wasn't here, because there was no quality to life. But Stephen is a go-getter, and he was insistent that he would do all he could for me, and he tried to help me with exercises and doing different things together, but it was very limited what we could do. And then we heard about this CCSVI, and Stephen, he got onto it immediately. It was like a dog with a bone. He just got onto it and tracked it down to see where he could get the treatment for me, and he tried all over the world, and finally located the doctors in Poland who agreed to treat me. I was supposed to fly to New Zealand, home to my family, to a family reunion, and then Stephen got a call from the doctors that they would see me, that if I came right away. So we went, instead of going to New Zealand, we went over to Poland. And I had the venogram, and I had absolutely no fear about it because I thought there's no downside. I couldn't get it. I was only getting worse, and so I was happy to try anything. And I was just anxious that something could be done. And Stephen, of course, was just 100% behind me and just helping in every way he possibly could. They found blockages just, they said, in one, which we're not sure about. And so they just did the balloon angioplasty. And then I was ever so much better. Almost immediately I felt a warmth in my hands in particular, and in my feet to some degree. And it was just I don't know, it was just a feeling of feeling better. But then I did stay the night in the hospital and went the next day back to the hotel and slept that day and that night. And it was the next day I just felt like a different person. And it was cold and snowy in Poland. But I said to Stephen, and he said, "What would you like to do?" I said, "Let's go shopping." And it's quite a joke for my daughters-in-law that I like shopping. So we dressed up and went out and went to a lovely big department store. And by the time we'd done 3 floors, he was starting to get tired. And I was feeling so good. And then we had a lovely cup of coffee in a nice little cafe on the street. And then finally came back. I think we went for dinner that evening and finally came back to the hotel. And I was just so happy. I think I was able to do more, and I was just feeling better in myself and sleeping better. And so then I went on a trip to New Zealand by myself this time. Stephen had planned to come with me, but he was involved in his business, so I went down and had a lovely time down there. We went touring with a couple of my sisters, and we just went to shops and ate out and did things that ladies like to do. They told me that was a possibility, that could happen, and that the stenosis in the left jugular vein could just close up again. And so I just am feeling not quite as good as I was. I'm not as bad as I was before, but I'm starting again to just get a little bit more of the eye problems and the tiredness, and just you get a little bit of emotional instability. I guess it's the insecurity. We're traveling to Bulgaria on May 25th, 2010, and I likely will have the investigations and the procedure on the 27th or 28th by Professor Ivo Petrov, who is a very competent cardiovascular surgeon, and it's a state-of-the-art hospital with full facilities, and I have no fear about going there for the treatment. In fact, I'm looking forward to it. Having tasted the relief of so many of the symptoms, I now would like to get right back to there and possibly even better. So that will, Stephen has kindly agreed and is anxious and pushing for me to go back to Bulgaria, which I'm very happy about, to get the diagnosis done, at least the venograms and all that, to make sure in case there's blockages elsewhere. And then I will have a stent put in if it's necessary, and I'm very happy to have that done, because it's just, nobody knows unless they've been through it what it's like to have been a very active, athletic career girl, you might say, in my youth, and then to gradually lose all that. So I'm looking forward, though, just to living a normal life and not getting this severe fatigue. I would highly recommend it to any patient that is afflicted with multiple sclerosis. It's only those that have it that really know how it affects every aspect of your life. And I guess not everybody has such a kind, understanding husband as I have.